Andre Casterman, welcome to Trade Finance Talks TV.
Great to be here, Dipesh.
Thank you. So, quick introduction. I'm sure many people know who you are, but in just a few seconds, who are you, where are you from, and what do you do?
My name is Andre Casterman, indeed. I'm a founder of Casterman Advisory, and I'm helping fintechs engage in the market and engage with early adopters. That means making sure that banks and fintechs start working together.
Yeah, very good, succinct summary. So, the need to digitize trade has never been more important, and even since your SWIFT days, the focus really has always been on trade digitalization. Why haven't we got there yet?
Yeah, it's a major question indeed, because the industry has been busy for more than 2 decades. I've been in the business since 3 decades, joined SWIFT in 91, and I remember in 97 the industry started a major market initiative called Bolero to digitize trade. Now, trade is still not completely digitized, but many things are progressing in the meantime. I think we have to distinguish what can be digitized without any need for policy change versus the specific instruments that require policy change of law, for instance, adoption of the model law for electronic transferable records, in order for digitization to be acceptable and those digital instruments to become enforceable. So that's really the major challenge, is that often the technology can't go far unless the policymakers take action. However, now we see this taking place, with many countries changing the laws in order to make digitization much more indeed widespread in their local market.
Yeah, and we've seen lots of really good progress, particularly here in the UK, which is very exciting, and it for really driving a lot of the transformation and change from a legal and a technical perspective. So just taking a bit of a step back into ITFA, what is the ITFA Fintech Committee, and what are some of the key functions?
So indeed, I established the Fintech Committee in late 2017. This is because it was really a nice fit with what I had done before at SWIFT, where I was also driving product innovation and finding early adopters, bringing latest technologies that were the SWIFT technologies at that time to the banks. I was indeed already in the fintech space since 2016, and I saw much more openness from the banks to start working with highly specialized technology players. So we've shown this Fintech Committee within ITFA, and gradually I identified that those fintechs were not understood by banks, were often perceived as potential competition. So my first objective has been to clarify their positioning, to show they are not competing, they are helping, and to show they are not competing amongst each other, that they are really complementing each other. Fast forward 2020-21 now, we definitely see a series of partnerships between fintech companies, and that's where last year I structured the activities around 2 major initiatives: the Digital Negotiable Instrument Initiative, where Inigio, for instance, is partnering with China System, is partnering with Finastra, and more are lining up to integrate the electronic document technology. And we have the TFD initiative for digitizing and automating trade distribution, where tradetech is partnering also with additional technology providers, in particular with XDC Network for the tokenization. So we really see this theme of collaboration amongst fintechs being applied here, and the banks will benefit. That's the goal, the ultimate goal, the banks to benefit from those enhanced value propositions, and their clients also indirectly to benefit from those.
Yeah, and I mean, it must be incredibly difficult for banks who are constantly bombarded by hundreds, if not thousands, of trade techs and fintechs companies. And obviously partnerships serve a really important role within the space, but how can we ensure the partnerships between fintech and fintech are actually fruitful and not necessarily competitive?
Yeah. It's hard to get to a point where two fintechs agree they should partner, and that doesn't mean partnership on an exclusive basis, but it's really about integration of technologies. And the fact is, my approach has always been to believe in technologies that integrate into the existing landscape. Business landscape, legal landscape, and technology environment that the banks operate. So this is where the Finastras of this world, the China systems, and I mentioned those two because they are ITFA fintech members, are great to work with because they operate the booking system, the back office, the core application within banks, and they, since a few years, they adding third-party technologies they're integrating for digitizing various processes. It could be the simple electronic signature with a DocuSign or any other. It could be the electronic documents with an Inigo, for instance, or the other solutions, or it could be a distribution process through tradetech. So definitely there are many opportunities, but it's not obvious to get to a point where two companies say, yeah, let's go together, build this enhanced value proposition, because there is a temptation from some large players to believe they can do it all by themselves. Now, the great thing after those years of adoption by early adopters of various technologies, and of course not only those that are members of fintech, of ITFA, there are others as well, is that they are starting to prove themselves. They are starting to be credible. The policymakers recognize the role of some core technologies like DLT. So more and more the market is opening up on the policy side, on the large vendor side, and those dots can be connected. And collaboration opportunities are identified. I'm driving as many as possible, and we this morning indeed we brought some of those examples with testimonials to our audience here in Bristol.
Yeah, and I think those case studies are really important, and you've got to always find that middle ground, which is how can we together be stronger as a partnership versus operating in silos. Let's talk about some of the specific initiatives that you mentioned earlier, and I'd like to talk about the Digital Negotiable Instruments Initiative and TFG were the media partners behind one of the recent documents with ITFA on this. Can you talk about this initiative and how it relates to the electronic payment undertaking, the EPU?
Yes, so basically on many of those themes, as I said, we need to consider the policy track and the technology track. The technology track is often very advanced. It's ready, and the technology vendors are keen to power some banks to make it happen. Now, the banks are looking at the legal side and the policy side, regulatory side, and they sometimes have to wait for, and in particular for negotiable instruments. What we are keen to get to is for the common law, the English common law, to recognize electronic negotiable instruments, meaning enabling the banks to work on the basis of electronic transferable records for bills of exchange, for prom notes, bills of lading, and there are other documents. Now, we are not there yet. Because indeed the work has been progressed by ICC UK, by the UK Law Commission, excellent collaboration also within the UK market with the banks and the business case that was developed. However, we still have to wait until parliamentary decision. Now, in the meantime,
it should happen next year.
Yes. Yeah. Indeed. That's indeed fingers crossed. Now, in the meantime, for some banks, for some SME originators, whether it's a common law or contract law, doesn't matter, because the SME clients will go for it as long as they get working capital. Whether it's a bill of exchange that is transferable on a global basis across countries, or under contract law and therefore not so transferable but still enforceable for the funder, is not as important. So we have developed the EPU indeed within ITFA in partnership with Sullivan to provide a solution for those originators that want to digitize the negotiable instruments on the basis of a contract law. It's still as enforceable, but it requires a specific contract indeed, and within the EPU we provide a template for this to take place on the basis of the Inigo technology that is the same one that would be used for the common law solution.
Great, and we'll signpost our viewers to I think you've got a very good diagrammatic of how that actually works in reality. So I guess final question, and here we are in Bristol at the ITFA annual conference. What's next for you guys at the ITFA Fintech Committee? What have we got to look forward to over the next few months?
So as I said to my audience this morning, had a lot of bankers in the room listening to fintech representatives, and I'm one of those, and some testimonials. And I said, really, my goal is to get you on stage. I want bankers on stage talking about their implementations, talking in their own words about the value propositions they have been able to develop on the basis of electronic negotiable instruments, on the basis of the originate and distribute model, which is all about the TFD initiative, and we had examples this morning with accelerated payments, which is an originator in Ireland benefiting from the TFD initiative, and even the most advanced value proposition we developed recently, whereby we got tradetech to partner with XDC Network, and basically we get liquidity to SMEs via accelerated payments on the basis of a tokenization of portfolios of receivables. So it is the most advanced value proposition we have built so far, and combining the existing MRPA market practice, the existing SPV structure, but adding a tokenization option just to bring liquidity from new types of funders. So my next goal is to make sure banks benefit more from those available value propositions on the DNI side, on the TFD side, and there are other fintechs in the committee providing additional value propositions. And next we're going to we just launched an InsurTech committee to also clarify the InsurTech landscape. And the approach is similar to the one I took 4 years ago, 2017, in terms of clarifying the roles of fintechs and helping bankers discover the space. We're going to do that in partnership with the Insurance Committee that Celia is leading, focused on the InsurTech side. We could go on and create additional initiatives. I invited the ITFA members, the bankers, to suggest additional themes, priorities, but we are very busy now with the DNI and TFD, and we really want to make sure we deliver what we want to deliver to the banks so they can deliver to their clients, basically.
I mean, it's absolutely fascinating. I recall Helsinki. When was that? 2019.
19, yeah.
And very, very much in the early stages of even some of the initiatives within the Fintech Committee. And you also look at the advancements of some of these technologies, distributed ledger technology and blockchain, and you see how Inigio are perhaps utilizing some of those in a real world problem. That's electronic documents. You also see the advancement of non-fungible tokens and tokenization of assets, and you see a use case within the trade distribution space, which has a huge potential because we often talk about trade finance as an asset class and bringing more liquidity into the low risk asset that is trade finance. So lots of really exciting potential, and I think the insurance market is pretty far behind, but we can't forget the importance of the trade credit insurance market to trade finance.
Exactly, and you're right to mention DLT, because on both the DNI initiative and the TFD initiative, DLT is there, supporting specific functions, and we're going to be able to demonstrate how DLT helps on fraud prevention. In terms of traceability of assets, in terms of validity of instruments, like those negotiable instruments tracked on the DLT. So those new tools will help banks fight fraud by automating checks. Something we can't do on paper, obviously. So DLT is definitely present there. So on the DNI for traceability, on the TFD for the tokenization. So definitely here again on both tracks, we're combining the traditional technologies with the new technologies, and the whole package is bringing really enhanced value propositions.
Yeah, really important point there. I mean, we had the news this morning with I think IBM and Money to Go on some of the new initiatives they've launched around deduplication and fraudulent invoices. So absolutely fascinating. Andrew, I'm afraid we're out of time, but thank you very much for joining us on Trade Finance Talks TV, and really looking forward to keeping update with fintech gems and various other fun things throughout the conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Dipesh. Great to be here.